Hi, this is Bethany Gagne, founder of Numinous, the organization that sponsors the Global Peaceful Cities Project. And again, it's an amazing pleasure to be here with Lynne McTaggart, who is considered the world's #1 authority on intention, spirituality, and the new science. She's written 4 bestsellers: The Field, The Intention Experiment, The Power of 8, and The Bond. Lynne, thank you so much here for being with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, Bethany.
So can you talk about what happens in people's lives when they experience, I'm sorry, can I just?
No problem.
Okay, Bethany. Okay, there we go. Hi, this is Bethany Gagne, founder of Numinous, the organization that sponsors the Global Peaceful Cities Project. And this video, it's an amazing blessing to be speaking with Lynne McTaggart, who is the author of 4 New York Times bestselling books: The Bond, The Intention Experiment, The Power of 8, and The Field. Lynne, thank you so much for taking your time here today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I just got to tell you a little bit about what happened when I saw your book. Was it in 07 and 08 with the Intention Experiment? I've been working in biofeedback for almost 25 years. And so I would see the power of intention in the body through objective instrumentation. And I got to tell you, back then, I remember so clearly because, I was in my late 20s and spending so much money on any book I could find that would actually have one reference to intention. Maybe back in the bibliography, I had to dig it out, but I would spend, I remember questioning myself, saying, this is ridiculous, and wanting to find anything I could because I would see the power of intention in the body. And then, of course, I started getting interested in prayer research. So then that whole thing and the TM. And so when I saw your book, I'll never forget it, was on Amazon. And all of a sudden your book popped up, The Intention Experiment. I was like, oh my gosh, there's one book that has all this research just on intention, and you fleshed it out so incredibly well. I just thought I had seen the promised land or something. So first of all, thank you so much for that work. I just personally. And also, the reason why I think that book is so important is because you really flesh out intention and all of the different aspects of it. Is there possible you could share one research study or one concept or something, one research study that would really help people demonstrate the power of thought, something that would be especially helpful or very clear?
Well, I think that it's very interesting. In terms of the work in the Intention Experiment, the love study was one of my favorite. But I'll also tell you about something else that I actually love, because it demonstrates that even though our brains are really sophisticated, they're also a little bit dumb because they can't distinguish between an action and a thought of an action. And that was a Cleveland Clinic study which looked at if there was any difference between going to the gym and working on your biceps and just thinking about going to the gym and working on your biceps. And they had 2 groups of people, and one group actually went to the gym and worked out and on their biceps, and the others were allowed to just sit on their sofas and be couch potatoes and think about it. And they found that the people who went to the gym increased their bicep size by 30%, but the people who just thought about doing it increased their bicep size by 15%. So that really demonstrates something that's really important in biofeedback and lots of other things, which is when you think about an action, you set in motion the same neurons that you would if you were actually performing the action. It's almost like a rehearsal. And so this is why, most elite athletes go through mental rehearsal. They imagine the whole game, match, or whatever in their heads in exquisite detail, as though they were going through the process, because they know that essentially trains the brain. The other study I was talking about, the love study, was really about couples where one of the partners had cancer. And the Institute of Noetic Sciences took 2 groups, and they put one group in, they took individual couples, and they took one member of the couple was in one room, lots of camera equipment on him or her. This was the ill partner with all kinds of equipment to measure their physiological processes. The other one was in another room with a monitor seeing his partner flash up every so often. Also attached to all kinds of physiological equipment. And every so often, when the well partner saw the image of his sick partner, he was supposed to send intention, or she. And afterward, they collated all of that physiological equipment. During the times that the well partner was sending intention, they discovered their heart waves started synchronizing, their brain waves started synchronizing, the rate at which their blood flew to the extremities synchronized, their breathing synchronized. It was essentially two bodies became one. So there's that interesting stuff. And of course, there's the interesting stuff in my book, The Power of Eight, which is really all about our intention experiments, but also my discovery of what happens when you scale this down to a small group intention, just groups of 8 sending intention to somebody in the group with a health challenge or somebody outside of the group, or even any other challenge in their lives. I mean, we finally did a brainwave study on this because I had thousands of people where we were having spontaneous healings. I mean, I just came upon it by accident in 2008 when during a workshop I decided, well, let's just give this a try. Hey, let's put people in groups of 8 and see what happens to them. And, you know, my husband's the one who christened it The Power of 8. He's a good headline writer. And we expected it to be a little feel-good effect, like getting a facial. But it wasn't what happened at all. People came back the next day and we had these extraordinary healings. You know, we had a woman with cataracts who was 80% better. We had a woman with terrible knee arthritis who was walking in normally and said her knee didn't hurt anymore. People with depression felt lifted. Insomnia, first good night's sleep in years. You know, IBS gone. And so that happened over and over and over and over again in thousands of the groups that I've run now, and not only among the senders, but the receivers. And so, of course, this was puzzling to me. And I dismissed it as a placebo effect until I started to see that the senders of intention were also having major life changes. So one of the most powerful studies, I think, was done by Life University, the largest chiropractic university in the world, on my Power of 8 groups. They got a group of student volunteers and they put EEG monitors on one of the members of the senders while they were sending intention to one of the people with a health challenge in the group. And they found almost immediately that their brain waves underwent huge, major changes. There were global quieting of the brain. There was a global quieting of the parts of the brain that have to do with separation, you know, that make us feel separate. The parietal lobes right back here, they help us to navigate through space. They tell us, oh, this is me. No, that's not me. And they were dialed way down. And so were the parts of the brain involved with worry and doubt. They were turned way down too. These were people essentially with a brainwave signature that described a state of ecstatic oneness. And when we compared, those signatures were almost identical to the brainwave signatures recorded by Dr. Andrew Newberg, formerly from the University of Pennsylvania, who looked at Sufi masters during chanting and Buddhist monks during ecstatic prayer. Identical brainwave signatures. However, those Buddhist monks, those Sufi masters had spent years involved in developing their skills and hours priming themselves into the state. My people were student volunteers, most of whom had never even meditated before. And all they had was a 12-minute video from me telling them how to do this. Nevertheless, they were essentially transported into the miraculous in an instant.
Wow.
So if you want to know about the changes in the power of intention, all you need to do is form a small group, because there's where you will also find a fast track to the miraculous.
Wow. We were talking earlier about what happens as far as in the personality itself. You know, I was mentioned, you know, I've feel as though there's been times in my life when things maybe haven't been working out, and I'd say to myself, my God, thank God I know about intentional research. Otherwise I'd be cooked right now, right? So can you talk about how it empowers people, how it changes how they walk through this world, knowing that they can utilize this technology of intention?
Sure, because what we recognize, once you realize that your thoughts are trespassers that can go out in the world and affect other people and things, you suddenly feel like you're in charge. You're not just this thing that is buffeted by fate. You actually can control your reality to a very good degree. And all you have to do is be very clear about what that reality looks like. Now, that's the biggest challenge people have, is being specific, knowing to tell the universe what they want. This is the key message I give everybody in all of my master classes. Tell the universe what you want. The other really important piece here is people also understand, when they're involved in small group work, that one of the ways to empower yourself is to get off of yourself. People are constantly saying, intention for me. Thinking intention is a little bit like, just ordering things at a restaurant and saying, yeah, okay, so I'll have this, and I'll have that, and it's me, 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 me. But what I found in my work is oftentimes people end up having amazing breakthroughs when they do get off of their own intentions. They start intending for someone else, and the universe essentially rewards them.
Wow. And wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I kind of feel like it creates a vacuum in the field, right? It seems as though you can feel it, like a vacuum, as we put someone else on the throne of our thoughts, as in we take ourselves off and we put someone else on. It almost creates this openness, and it just seems to allow goodness to come into us as well. Not that that's why we're doing it at that moment, but yeah, great stuff. And I know that your readers people who have experienced it in your peace projects have reported this. We talked about this in the last video, this amazing compassion for people, kindness to complete strangers, situations getting resolved. So, if you want to learn more about intention, I would strongly encourage you to take one of Lynne's master classes. I've done 2 of them, and I've also did your health one, Lynne, as well. And so you will learn about the gritty details of this, and how the subtleties to this work. And I love, Lynne, how you said, can you talk about how we get better at it over time?
Sure. I mean, the thing is, after a while, we do become better at it because we learn how to be specific. And that is the one thing I correct more and more than anything else. We learn how to get off of ourselves and to focus on other people, and how that it's not just a good thing to do, hey, we should all be nice to each other. It is actually something that has this amazing positive effect on your body, on your immune system, on your longevity. People who do things for other people, no matter how small that is, live longer, are healthier, are happier in every regard. So that's a real good piece, and we get better at that as time goes on. We also get an understanding of what works best for us. You have to sometimes try things and it doesn't work right away. We'll try it a different way, phrase it a different way. Usually I find when people aren't getting, something isn't working for them in their intention, I usually ask, well, what did you ask for? And it's usually something, well, I asked to win the lottery or something like that. And I said, oh, do you need that much money? Well, no, I just thought that was a good thing to do. And I did it for a group of us. I said, well, why? And they'd say, well, Jane needs $20,000 for her child, and Sam needs $15,000 for a new car, and so needs another $20,000. And I said, well, why did you ask for $65,000 or $55,000, whatever that total was? Why do you ask to win the lottery? Why don't you just ask for what you need, what it is that you really want? And people just they learn how to do that then, that, okay, trust in the process and learn it. And also to understand about letting go.
Can we talk about that for a minute?
Sure.
Please.
Okay. Well, people worry it a lot. They'll just say, oh, I got to do this intention all the time. Well, no, they don't. I mean, the universe will hear it once. Sure, you can go back to it and just ask for it. But I usually say when people aren't getting what they want, get off of yourself. Stop intending for yourself, intend for someone else, and then see what happens. And 9 times out of 10, that's the time when it does happen.
Right. So I think it's important for people to recognize that intention is a little bit of we're all doing experiments in our own lives, right? Trial and error, right? And to stick with it over time. And if you get a little discouraged or you get feedback back, right? What would you say to someone who's been trying to do, you said, who's been trying to intend for something, they're not getting the results, you tell them to get more specific, and anything else just emotionally, like, because that's what bothers me is when people try this work, they try it, they're not really skilled at it, it doesn't work, and then they abandon it. And to me, that's like abandoning gold. So,
yeah, exactly. Because, there are techniques to it. In the intention experiment and in the Power of 8, I've got a whole program called Powering Up. Because I studied with intention masters, Qigong masters, Buddhist monks, master healers, to find out what techniques they used. And they used techniques. And there were certain differences depending on their modality, but also certain commonalities. And I tried to distill those commonalities into a simple program everybody can follow, as well as what also worked best in the laboratory. So, the techniques about a highly focused state, using it coming from the heart, things like that are really important. And many, many other things that you can do are really important to learning how to be an intention master. So it is about actually learning a skill, learning how to get into this very focused and energized mind state, learning how to be very specific, and many other things. There are about 12 key points that I talk about in my books. And it's about practice too. But also, finally, it's a real heart-centered thing of getting the idea that, asking for putting your cup out and waiting for it to be filled. As I say, a lot of times people don't get what they ask for because they ask for more than they need. And the universe seems to be pretty good at giving you exactly what you need, because I've seen over and over in my master classes when people were down to their last $200 or something, and they asked for exactly what they needed, or they thought about exactly what they needed. That was what came through in a windfall, exactly the money they needed.
wow.
The $2,000 they needed to do this or such. I know one woman that was 2,000 pounds short. After she's from Britain, and she overspent on a holiday, and she realized she was 2,000 in the hole. And lo and behold, she sends an intention to get that back, just that money back. Lo and behold, a hotel contacts her in the Far East to say, "Oh, we overcharged you by 2,000 pounds." So the universe seems to just give you what you need. So don't be dumb and ask for big generalities like winning the lottery. Ask for exactly what it is you need.
Oh, wow. Wow. What wonderful. And, just, it's so great to hear these very practical stories. Thank you, Lynne, so much for your work. Again, Lynne, go to lynnmctaggart.com to learn more. And again, you have these wonderful master classes. Are you doing another one in 19 probably?
We will be doing one. We kick off in January 19. We'll be starting to advertise it in November. So it's a year-long course. You do 6 weeks of webinar training with me, and then we put you into groups and we monitor you for a whole year. And we also have lots of follow-up. You'll hear from me weekly. So we do that every year. We have other special types of things. We did Become a Better Healer with the Power of 8. We're going to be doing many other sort of very focused types of courses using intention in advanced ways. And also in my intention experiments, I'll be running a great big one in the autumn of 2018 and in the spring of 2019. So join lynnmctaggart.com and you'll find out. And finally, if you want to set up your own Power of 8 group and you don't have 7 other people around you, you can just join my forum, lynnmctaggart.com/forum. And there you can advertise to set up a Power of 8 group in your time zone, or join an existing group. There are hundreds of them, and they're all able to communicate with each other and meeting regularly via Skype or Zoom.
Wow, that's great. Because then you're sitting with skilled sitters. You know, you're sitting with people who are steeped in your work, and they know how to intend well, and it's important, I think. And so, yeah, that's a wonderful forum. I'd love to know that I can send people there. So thank you, Lynn, so much for your time today, and thank you so much. I know your time.
Thank you, Bethany. Keep up the great work.
Okay, you too. I look forward to seeing what's coming out soon for you. Thank you.
Great. Bye.